Hi everyone. In this series we are studying John chapter 15 verses 1 to 17 to learn what it means to be a true worshipper. And we've seen from verse 8 that worshipping God has to do with bearing much fruit that not only glorifies God but also demonstrates that we are followers of Christ. So what is this fruit we are to bear? In this message we are going to identify the need for fruit, the nature of the fruit, the nobility of the fruit, and the novelty of the fruit we are to bear. Let's take a look. Jesus makes it very clear that the Father expects us to bear fruit. His demand is not unreasonable because he never expects us to do something which he won't empower us to do. When the Father says, "Be holy because I am holy," or Jesus says, "Be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect," it is not a demand for performance in our own strength, but a call to depend on His strength. In the same way, we must bear fruit, but we can only do so if we depend completely on the true vine. Without fruit, we cannot glorify the Father. Jesus not only expects fruit, but teaches us that He is concerned about the quantity and the quality of the fruit we bear. He expects much fruit and fruit that will last. This is the nature of the fruit we are to bear because it reveals the nature of the true vine. It's as we receive much that we can bear much, and it's as we remain in the everlasting one that we will bear lasting fruit. Jesus reveals a wonderful principle in His teaching that is really important for us to understand. Some people think that the fruit that Jesus is speaking of is something only God can produce through us and refer to the fruit of the Spirit mentioned in Galatians chapter 5. Others believe that the fruit that Jesus is speaking of is something we have to produce and refer to the good works mentioned in Matthew 5:16, for example. I don't believe it is one or the other, but both. This is the nobility of the fruit we are to bear. Nobility means high-born and describes perfectly that the fruit we bear is born of God but revealed through man. We can see this principle operating in Paul's life when he says, "I can do everything through Him who gives me strength." Or to this end I labor, struggling with all His energy which so powerfully works in me. This is the nobility of the fruit we are to bear that reveals that it is of God and produced for God in His strength. Jesus gave His disciples a new command: love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. Novelty means new, original, unusual. The novelty of this fruit we are to bear is that it is not by the old way of the law, but by the new way of the Spirit. It is original because it depends on the origin of love and life itself, and it is unusual because it is not of this world. If our love for others depends on the object of our love, it is conditional and can wither. That is not lasting fruit. But if our love for others depends on the unconditional love we receive from the vine as we remain in Him, we will learn to love unconditionally and bear lasting fruit. Let's study the need to bear fruit and how God expects us and empowers us to bear the fruit He desires. Let's study the nature of the fruit Jesus wants us to bear, its quantity and quality, much fruit that will last. Let's study the nobility of the fruit as it is born of God and released through us. And finally, let's study the novelty of the fruit we are to bear, this new, original, and unusual fruit that will last because it doesn't depend on people or circumstances, but on the unfailing nature of Christ's love. May we be the true worshippers the Father seeks as we bear much, lasting fruit that glorifies Him and reveals that we belong to Christ. God bless you.